Well, and while I listen to this clip here by my brethren, very, very interesting clip. Listen.
But I want to go to something else for a minute, brothers and sisters. I want to go to the money made versus money earned. Black Panther has passed $1 billion. It is on its way to being the highest grossing movie ever. It is already the highest grossing Marvel movie ever at this point, from what I understand. $1 billion in less than a month. $1 billion in less than a month. Now, how much were the actors paid in Black Panther? Let's look at this. Let me pull up the salaries real quick. I got them written here. Let's deal with the financial exploitation of the movie. Where we at? Give me 1 second. I got it right here. This is going to blow your mind, because I'm about to compare the money made by the blacks in Panther to the money made by the whites in their Marvel movies. Let's look at this. Let's look at modern apartheid on the big screen. Let's look at Hollywood apartheid. That's what we're going to do right now. Hollywood apartheid. Okay. Y'all ready? Here we go. Lupita, $1 million. Angela Bassett, $400,000. Shuri, $500,000. Daniel from Get Out, $800,000. Michael B. Jordan, $1 million. Chadwick Boseman, $3 million. Denaya, the sister who played Tupac mom in Koye, $1 million. And last but not least, Forrest Whitaker, Oscar award-winning Best Actor. Forrest Whitaker, Oscar award-winning Best Actor, and he got paid $600,000. One more time. Lupita, $1 million. Angela Bassett, $400,000. Shuri, $500,000. Daniel from Get Out, $800,000. Michael B. Jordan, $1 million. Chadwick Boseman, $3 million. Nkoye, Denaya, $1 million. Oscar award-winning Best Actor, Forrest Whitaker, $600,000. Now, are you ready to hear what the white folks make? Are you ready to hear what the white folks make? Here we go. Josh Brolin, who's going to be playing in Thanos, $2 million. The white man who plays Hulk Hogan, $3 million. Captain America, $8 million. Thor, the guy who plays Thor, $8 million. The white girl in Black Widow, $10 million. The white boy in Spider-Man, and he's a new actor. He's new. $3 million. The person who's playing Star-Lord, $5 million. The white guy for Doctor Strange, $3 million. Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man. Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man. Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man. 50, 50, 50. 50, 50, $50 million for Iron Man. Did you hear this? In other words, when you look at the pay of the actors of Black Panther, you get $3, $4, $5 to $6 million budget for your actors. The people who made $1 billion only got $5 million. The people who earned you $1 billion only got you only paid them $5 million. But when you look at these white ones, Iron Man, $50 million. Iron Man gets paid more than everybody in Black Panther times 10. This is the highest grossing Marvel movie ever, Black Panther. And nobody was paid more than $1 million except Chadwick Boseman. Nobody was paid more than $1 million except Chadwick Boseman. Nobody was paid more than $1 million except Chadwick Boseman. His $3 million as the highest paid actor in Black Panther is almost the lowest for the white ones. Chadwick Boseman's $3 million is almost at the lowest pay for the white actors in the Marvel series. Racism, and more racism.
Very revealing clip, you know. I hope maybe them agree upon the money before the movie make and never know so the movie is going to make so much. So we hope that Disney look into it and realize how much the movie make and give them some bonus. That is inevitable. So, but we don't know. But when you hear so one man get all $50 million for a movie, we don't even make half away Black Panther make. Yeah, that's serious thing. But that's the way it is. We living in this white world, and some of us trying to live it even though we're not white. Marcus Garvey, our hero. We celebrate Marcus Garvey Earth Day Friday the 17th. That is his birthday. Marcus Garvey come from this part of the world here, has influenced people in all parts of the world. All parts of the world influence people. And him live because I and I live. And I choose to continue him work. The philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey, very important to this in this time, yeah. In this time, yeah. Because we see the thing, the more turmoil in the world is the more fear people have. And me I tell you that fear thing, they're rough, you know. Yeah, man, you see, if your belly all hurt, I don't even know what make your belly hurt you. And you try to figure out what they do to make your belly hurt you. And you go see all a bump on your skin. And you try to remember if any wasp or any insect it bite you, you can't remember. Me I tell you, it's a fear, take hold of you, it's a sin. Well, that is the way them have this invisible person. Put that invisible person over way. And when we're in a certain difficulties, we almost instinctively start to actually really believe that there is a little person outside the way where we attack to. Yeah, really believe that. Millions of people all over the world believe that. Millions. Under the auspices of the Roman Catholic Church. These people who abuse children over centuries. Centuries and centuries and centuries abuse children. When I hear the man talk on the news today, say one of the 5-month-old baby. And the same mentality where go and take a gun and shoot a little baby. We see a clip in a Cameroon where some man walk some woman, and you know the African them woman have them baby on them back, and them war the woman, them go to one spot and just start to kill them with the baby upon the mother back, same way, and then walk over and shoot her. I don't know how much time you can kill her. But that is a viciousness. That is a viciousness with the bunks where you so now. When you look on the culture that manifests itself in a Jamaica right now through the dance hall. When you say we're women them, nobody can dance again if them bottom now shoot up in the air. If them now show them body parts like some, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy, man. Things where you usually do people assimilate sex in the dance now and it become natural, normal. A man just grab a woman and just her foot just throw around him bottom and him a go on. So me I tell you, it's weird. It's a weird thing. I mean, when you take part in it, it's not weird, but when you look for stand up from outside and look for it, I say, but wait. Black people. I mean, when people look at them and say, yes, man, this BAYSEE, they're showing them beast-like self. When man stand up and pose and jump up a woman and woman lay down on ground and make the man assimilate sex pan her and she turn round and this and that and jump and pose and me I say, I wonder is where I go on. Because them people there watch these things and I say, but see, them are beasts with you. Them is really beasts with you. Them are not human being. Them are not human being, man. Because human being now normally, so not supposed to normally behave that way in the name of a cultural expression. And people validate them expression there. Validate them expression there, Rasta. You're up on a stage and a woman jump on the stage. And all she can do is turn her bottom up in the air and a twist and a twist and a twist and a twist. And that's supposed to be a normal thing. It's a normal thing that some people could listen and say, what Muta talk about? What am I deal with? What I deal with? It has shown the beast. Where white people, that's the way it is from long time. It's like it's like they manipulate your mind. It goes genetically modified. I wonder if Monsanto have a thing where they put in the food where genetically modified not only the plant or the livestock, but genetically modified black people especially, because them have drugs that affect black people more. You know, black people have more of certain disease where white people have less. And we know to them they create viruses in South Africa during the apartheid era. Them create viruses in South Africa that really affect black people. It attack black people. The man actually confessed to that in the Truth and Reconciliation court where they have. So me I think say when me look on all how the woman them a behave now in a dance. I don't know if I dance that. And when me see how the man them a behave, and it's like a weird, sadistic, masochistic thing I go on that it become normal. You have people who look at that now and say, Muta talk, if damn foolishness. I saw it go now and them thing and run the thing and now. Yeah, well, me know say I let her run the thing, but everything free for do, but not everything good for do, man. I mean, really. You have woman now where them look good on the road with all them make up this and make up that. And when them go home and take off everything, me see one with one DJ data in one tub. And me couldn't even believe she had she that. Because when me see her normally, when she have her make down and make down and make down and make round and make round, and And she feel like she look good. I mean, I say, what is? So what? We don't know we look good again and we look like weird. I mean, really, we don't have no concept of, you mean too bad turn good now, good is bad and bad is good now and everything upside down now. We don't know what's supposed to be what. You mean say it's only few are we know. Few, you know, the minority recognize that something wrong. Something wrong, man. Black people have Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, Martin Luther, this, that, Lumumba, Kwame Nkrumah, Jomo Kenyatta. I mean, you name it. And then we have something in the Bible where we follow Moses, this, that, and all them something there. And this is the state of our thinking and our mind. That's when you look on the prevailing culture in Jamaica right now. The country where was the beacon of hope for a whole heap of oppressed people. Me remember when them lick down the Berlin Wall, this wall will divide the East from West Berlin. It's Bob Marley's song them a play. Bob Marley's song a play. Me there want me never even in the demonstration, but me there a pass some a shop in Italy, somewhere in Italy there. Me have a musician them a walk. I was in this big demonstration against the Pope. And a reggae music a pump the place. Reggae music a pump the place. And now the way we influential, you know, that anything right now we come out of Jamaica, people copy it, you know. You go out of Japan, dancer girls like warriors. My friend carry me go to one club at Japan, and I set up in there about late at night. I see about 6 girls coming there, and I have to wait. A Japanese, a Japanese girl, them there, the Rasta. When they're ready for that, you think at Stone Love dance, them there, one of them fire links dance, and there, you know. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, man. That the country where it was like a beacon for the world. People are trying to figure out is what a guan. Or we reach a stage, you know. Or we reach a stage that man glorified. But you see, from this is the thing when a man would give you gun finger and all them something, and people take it for a joke. Like a man I say, boss a blank, and all them things, it's a gun thing. That normal people don't see nothing wrong with that, you know. When them hear a tune, they love them, hold up them finger like them finger are gun and attack with them a blood gun, kind of click them finger, ping. Nobody don't see nothing wrong with that again, a normal thing. Normal. You have certain fashion where it's only in a certain magazine you see it and you look at a movie as a go-go club, I see girls in a certain thing upon pole. Now I see the woman them a walk on the street. I walk on the street, Rasta. I look like them a look for a light post to dance. But the woman them look like them a walk on the road for look for forget what the stop sick the stop, what them call it, the stop pole, the stop sign, the little pole there. Look like them a look for pole for dance, but a dance them a go. And when them reach the dance, them say a dance that, you know. When them jump and the man catch them and, I mean, a black people that, you know. And that's right there, you know, and this is normal. We must accept that as normal. A mad and a mad. A mad and a mad man. That the culture, their madness. I mean, I talk about from the religious perspective, from the righteousness. Coming in the religious and righteous thing with nobody. I mean, the righteous means because to know me till I try to wrap my head around when man say somebody righteous, what they mean. Because when you look at all them bishop, you think that they're righteous, and them a lead the people. Hey, you know, say, the shepherd lead him flock. Where you think him a lead the flock for though? Where the shepherd want the sheep them for though? And yam him a go yam them and sell them for somebody yam them. That is where the shepherd is there for though. The shepherd is there for lead the flock, protect the flock until somebody come buy the sheep and then yam the sheep and take the sheep wool and make clothes. And it's not a go on now, man, I can tell you this and I tell you that, like say, them want to make you look like you and you are the strange person. Imagine, you are look on this culture unfold in front of you and I say the decadence tonight. And when you say something about it, I look on it as something weird. People are turning around like say, are you weird? What kind of man is that? That you have people who really feel say, boy, right now, get with it. That's what they must say, get with it, man. What you talking about? Get with it, man. This is what is happening. It's madness. It's madness. The prevailing culture in Jamaica that is being exposed on our television, on video, YouTube, all of them, these cultures is madness. Put me on record at saying that. That is madness. And a guy don't come go like say, well, me feel like say me out, me must get with it. Get with what? Some time to say young people think what? I was young people too. Ghetto people, I'd come from ghetto too. Me live with my mother in a one room for years. Me and I sleep on the same bed for years. Ghetto business. People that talk like say ghetto must define you. The place where you live must define how you think and how you feel and how you. And then the man want turn it round for you. You talk to man and man tell you about Muta, you know, she say, I saw it go now. So what go? So what next? What next? Can you have man who actually believes say when him shoot a boy, he might do something in a certain little levels. And me must look on that now, like say that it's crazy. It's a crazy thing. Crazy. It's just crazy. This is the cutting edge on RFM. Yes, this is the cutting edge. Who are you listen? You know, who are you love Mama Fire and our brethren? You know, him come to me and say, boy, Muta, see that thing the way you play the night with the little daughter from Tanzania there? Could have played it again, but you know, we keep playing them because we want to sink in the people, them consciousness. So we're going to play it again.
I am so happy and humbled to be with all of you today, and I thank God for bringing me here. My name is Natalie Wamboy, and I'm 10 years old. I'm in class 5, and I'm an author and a poet. My first book is called Natalie's Poems. It is a poetry book full of inspirational poems which talk about what we experience in our everyday lives. And my second book is called Kenya, My Country, My Story. Now, the reason I wrote this book was because many people in Kenya love talking about the negative things that are happening. But I thought to myself, why can't I write all the positive things that have happened in Kenya in a book? And the second reason I wrote this book was because I wanted to celebrate all the Kenyans who have made a difference in our country. And I also wanted to state what we can do to make our country a better place for all Kenyans to live in. Recently, I have just launched my third book. Here it is. It's called Extraordinary Kenyans Doing Extraordinary Things. It's about 40 Kenyans, 20 men and 20 women who are all doing great things in different fields. These people have all overcome challenges just to achieve their goals. I want to thank Mr. Ndungu Nyoro for having me here today, because it is such a blessing to talk to young people like you who are full of hope dreams, and ambition. I am here to talk to all of you today about living a life of purpose. A life that will make you feel happy and content. There is a book written by a man named Gary Zukav called Seed of the Soul. And in Seed of the Soul, he defines what is true power and what is authentic power. And in his definition of authentic power, it is the kind of power that can never leave you. It will always be with you. Not your looks, not your money, and not your fame. But authentic power is when your personality comes to serve the energy of your soul. When you realize what you came to do in this world. When your personality serves the soul. When you're able to align who you are and what you came to do in this world. I thought a lot about that, and it was actually life-changing for me. Everyone was created with a solution for another person's life. God was very generous in his giving. He made sure we are all unique in our own ways. It is a problem when some of us do not realize what is unique about us. What sets you apart from the rest of the people? You may never live a happy and fulfilled life until you discover your inner ability. Your inner ability and talent will never leave you. It will always be with you. All you need to do is work on it, perfect it, and make it known to the world. By doing this, you will be empowering yourself and also empowering others. In the process, you will find a sense of purpose and a direction of where you want your life to go. Seated in this room, we have people who are already doing well in life, and we really appreciate what you have been able to achieve. And if you are seated here, still struggling to achieve something, I'm here to tell you that it can be done. And it's not too late. You can do it. The real sense of purpose comes by giving others what you have already been given. That unique resource that lies deep within you. You may never live a happy and fulfilled life until you discover your inner ability. Your inner ability and talent will never leave you. It will always be with you. All you need to do is work on it, perfect it, and make it known to the world. If you don't, you will become sort of a thief. You will be robbing the world a unique resource that only you can give. It's time you become generous and share it wide and loud. That unique resource that God put in you to make you happier, wiser, richer, and more prosperous. But how will you do that? How will you use it to become truly, authentically empowered? Now, for me, it has been a beautiful thing to win an award and to meet the president and other leaders. But my true reward is in the lives that I'm able to touch, those people whom I know I have impacted. Our legacy is every life that we touch. I know this for sure. Any life, no matter how fantastic it is, no matter how glorious it seems, how many likes on Facebook you receive, any life and every life is enhanced in the giving, the sharing, and the opening of the heart space of who you truly are on the inside. Your life gets better when you find a way to share it with someone else. But how will you do that? How will you use it to become truly, authentically empowered? Now, for me, knowing that what I'm doing can inspire another child to do what they love doing, be it singing, writing, football, and many others. But I want to tell all of you today that your legacy is every life that you touch. As you live here today, the question will be, whose life will that be? How will you use yourself in such a manner that your legacy and your impact will live beyond the doing? When people started knowing that I write and the media started reaching out to me, My mother sat me down and told me that my biggest challenge was to offer myself as a good example to those who will be coming after me. And that is a challenge to all of us. You have to have a reason as to why you do what you do. For me, I'm a writer, and whenever I go somewhere, people normally ask me, how did you start writing? Why did you start writing at such a tender age? And my answer is usually the same. I write to open up a blind eye. I write to bring truth to life. I write to show you my opinion. I write to tell you that there is always another way to do something. I write to undress the lies. I write to bring darkness to light. I write to tell you that everyone is different. I write to tell you that not everyone will like you. I write to remind you that the world is diverse. I write to tell you that racism, nepotism, terrorism, and tribalism are real. I write to tell you that all dreams are valid. I write to remind you that you are amazing. I write to tell you that giving up is not an option. I may not be the best writer, but I want you to get something from what I write. Not just read and go away the same. I want you to make a change. Even if it's just a slight change, I will never stop writing.
You ever played forward the brethren said it inspire him till him nearly cry in front of me, man, may I tell you? Okay. This is the Cutting Edge at IRFM. We're there with you. We can figure out this. Sorry, I tell you. We are laughing myself inside there, so you can't believe that. Okay. Stop laughing myself. It's amazing.
Children, most of them boys, over a 70-year span. Nikki Batiste has spent weeks reporting on.
We're going to begin with this. The Vatican is saying nothing so far about a bombshell grand jury report on sex abuse by Roman Catholic priests in Pennsylvania. The report released yesterday says the Catholic Church used what amounted to a playbook for concealing the truth to hide decades of abuse.
The report names 301 predator priests who assaulted more than 1,000 children, most of them boys, over a 70-year span. Nikki Batiste has spent weeks reporting on this scandal. Nikki, good morning.
Good morning. The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops said it is completely saddened, and the Pittsburgh bishop has apologized. This is the report, nearly 900 pages long. Its findings are drawn from more than 500,000 pages of documents hidden in secret church archives because some records were destroyed and many survivors are still afraid to come forward. The grand jury believes there are actually thousands of victims.
The church showed a complete disdain for victims.
Survivors wept as Pennsylvania Attorney General Josh Shapiro publicly revealed the contents of the landmark grand jury report for the first time. When you saw the emotion on the survivors' faces today, what did that mean to you?
It means the world to me to be able to do this for them, to help them have some modicum of healing.
Victims and their loved ones had been anticipating the release of the report, the most sweeping examination yet of child sex abuse in the U.S. Catholic Church.
We've stood up and said our truth.
Secret's out now.
Investigators uncovered disturbing allegations, including a 7-year-old girl raped in a hospital after she had her tonsils taken out, a 9-year-old boy whose mouth was rinsed with holy water after being forced to perform oral sex, and 5 sisters abused by the same priest. How old was the youngest victim?
She was 18 months old when she was abused for the first time. 18 months old, she was in a diaper.
301 offenders were named in the report. About a third, 99, came from the Pittsburgh Diocese. The former bishop there, Cardinal Donald Wuerl, spoke to us before the report was released.
I think the report is going to show that during my tenure, we acted very appropriately with many times removal from ministry totally and completely.
Did you ever move priests quietly to another?
That wasn't our process.
Because I did speak with a victim who said his priest that he alleges abused him was moved.
I can't speak to any particular case.
But according to the grand jury, in 1991, Worrell reassigned an accused priest, Ernest Payon, to the Reno Diocese. In 1995, he returned George Zerwas, who the report says was a member of a pedophile ring, to ministry. Worrell even presided over Zerwas' funeral. He also approved monthly sustenance payments of up to $1,000 to Richard Zula, also a member of the pedophile ring after Zula's release from prison.
It's frankly shocking that the priests and the bishops and the monsignors and the cardinals knew about all this and weren't shocked and sought to cover it up.
In all the cases mentioned by the grand jury, the statute of limitations has expired for all but 2 of them. More than 100 of the accused priests are dead. We asked Cardinal Worrell why his comments to us about moving priests seem to contradict the grand jury report. His spokesperson stands by his statement that under Worrell's leadership, and since there was no policy for moving priests accused of misconduct.
Yeah, I remember when you first brought this story last week, it was so devastating to hear. And the people that you talked to bring up something so painful and so private, have you talked to them? What it's been like for them after they've come forward? Do you know?
I've been in touch with them. I saw them yesterday. They were incredibly emotional. And they also said they've heard from at least 12 victims who had never come forward before, just in Pennsylvania, and others across the state and some overseas.
Just looking at that, nearly 900 pages of pain and cover-up. Thank you for bringing this story to us, Nikki.
Heartbreaking.
It's amazing work, Nikki.
Hey, may I tell you, I mean, I don't really figure out in myself, why is it that especially the Roman Catholic Church is so sexually inclined? These priests are so sexually inclined. What is it that is in that organization that make the priests them so sexually inclined towards little children? You know, you have the angel them, according to, you ever say, them put the angel at 2 little boys, 2 little baby boys, the angel, you know. Like our Cupid with little arrow, you know. I mean, it's some little boys, young little boys, them have statues in Italy where you see big man stand up and a little boy just, you know, I mean, what is it? What is it? I mean, of all the years we are here about this, you know, this is the worst one, you know. 301 priests, 301 priests over a period of 70 years abused 1,000 children. 1,000 children. This are going in the church. And if it are going over this, it are going over here, so we not exempt nothing at the same church. Anyway, at Jamaica, we're there at the time, it's 12 o'clock. You know, it a come across my mind, say, them big man they know, priests, why them not just go up on the road and go get a prostitute and go sleep with her? I mean, what, that is a worse sin? Is a worse sin that? Just go up on the road and get some prostitute and rasta, look how much prostitute they are Rome. Look how much prostitute they are Pennsylvania. Look how much prostitute they are England. I mean, I don't know. It's mind-boggling, man. It's mind-boggling. So we can play the continuation of this report. Yeah. It's yesterday this thing come out, you know. Yesterday, not a long time news. It's yesterday it come out.
We do have more tonight on the Catholic Church sex abuse scandal. A Pennsylvania grand jury says more than 300 priests sexually abused more than 1,000 children and likely thousands more over 7 decades. Nikki Batiste explains how church leaders protected the priests, putting children at risk.
A trove of documents containing allegations and admissions of sexual abuse was kept locked up in what the church calls its secret archives, with the only key in the bishop's hands.
The cover-up made it impossible to achieve justice for the victims.
Pennsylvania Attorney General Josh Shapiro laid out a pattern of consistent, decades-long cover-up across the 6 dioceses. The files contain strategies that were practically a playbook for concealing the truth. Among the tactics for church record keeping, use euphemisms, never say rape, say inappropriate contact or boundary issues. Even if a priest is raping children, keep providing housing and living expenses. Above all, don't tell the police. Handle it like a personnel matter in-house. As church officials protected predator priests, careers continue to rise.
Many have been promoted. Bishop Worrell is now Cardinal Worrell.
Washington, D.C. Archbishop Cardinal Donald Worrell presided over 32 accused priests during his 18 years at the Pittsburgh Diocese. He sat down with us the night before the report's release.
During my tenure, we acted very appropriately with many times removal from ministry totally and completely.
But according to the grand jury, in 1991, Worrell reassigned an accused priest, Ernest Payon, to the Reno Diocese. In 1995, he returned George Zerwas, a member of a pedophile ring, to ministry.
Victims filed a lawsuit against you and a few others, saying you were conspiring to cover up the abuse. Any truth to that during your time in Pennsylvania?
I would have to say that's just totally false.
We reached out to Cardinal Worrell's representatives after the report's release, and they say he stands by his interview with us. And Jeff, so far, the Vatican has not commented.
Possible at this point, Nikki, that any of the clergy involved in the alleged cover-up could face criminal charges.
Yes, if they fail to report child sex abuse allegations, they could be prosecuted.
Okay, Nikki Batiste, thank you for your work on this story.
May I tell you? And this is, yeah, the man say, over 1,000 youth and thousands more where them find out about what them investigate still. And this are going right around the world with this church, right around the world. It's not the only church, but this is the main culprit as it relates to pedophiles and gay and homosexuality and all these things. You know, it's like, wow, man, it's deep. It's deep. I mean, the man, them have on the cross on them neck and the mount of saint and statue where them having at the church and when them pray and worship and then people, I mean, where is this God, man? Where is this Christian God where people call upon with all these evil? Why evil look like it dominate the world? With this God who's supposed to be omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient, and all these things. Allowing all these things. Can he do anything about it? Because if he can't do anything about it, if he can't do something about it, and not do nothing about it, you know, it's really terrible. Him not omnipowerful, him not omnipresent, him not omniscient. I can't do me here when my little picnic is an omniscient, omnipowerful, omnipresent, benevolent God. But what kind of benevolence? I mean, look how we are going. Look how we are going. Believe you me. A man that talk about man wickedness. Man wickedness gone above that God thinking. Gone above it. And them man that talk about righteousness more than any other group of people. Church people. Righteousness. You know what I'm saying? Righteousness exalted a nation, but sin is a reproach. May I tell you?
The most protected building on Earth. For example, there are anti-aircraft...
Tabla drum and tabla maker, you know, says a drum is shaped like the djembe, but it more, I don't know, it don't make out a wood neither. But them played mostly in North Africa and in Israel and all them places, the tabla. Find a drum, find a sound. Man, them lick to them fingers, a joke.
Fear is one of the most powerful human emotions. While highly useful in situations where threat of immediate harm exists, it is the most debilitating and dangerous of emotions when present unnecessarily. In this video, we will examine how fear can be used as a tool to manipulate others, and how those in positions of power, past and present, have effectively used fear to control certain aspects of society. Humans, especially since the Industrial Revolution, have become increasingly protected from the dangers that our ancestors faced in relation to the natural world. But as mankind's fear of nature and the elements has fallen, in its place many other fears have come to fill the void. Some of these fears have arisen in response to real threats, but many have been in response to things imagined, as the Stoic philosopher Seneca pointed out. There are more things likely to frighten us than there are to crush us. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. While some of these imagined fears are of one's own making, many are the consequence of narratives created by those in positions of power. Individuals looking to take advantage of and manipulate others have long realized the power of fear. When one is gripped by fear of a threat, real or imagined, their rational and higher cognitive capacities shut down, making them easily manipulated by anyone that promises safety from the threat. No passion so effectually robs the mind of all its powers of acting and reasoning as fear, wrote the 18th century philosopher Edmund Burke. Ruling classes for thousands of years have understood the power of intentionally invoking fear in their subjects as a means of social control. Henry Frankfort, in his book The Intellectual Adventures of Ancient Man, noted that between 1800 and 1600 BC, a fear psychosis spread through ancient Egypt, precipitated by the invasion of foreign rebels hungry for power and conquest. Initially, this fear psychosis was justified by a real threat. Yet even when these foreigners were successfully driven far away from Egypt, the ruling powers sought to artificially maintain fear among the population, realizing that a fearful population is easier to control than a fearless one, as Frankfort explained. The common desire for security need not have survived after the Egyptian Empire extended the military frontier of Egypt well into Asia and thus removed the peril from the immediate frontier. However, it was a restless age, and there were perils on the distant horizon which could be invoked to hold the community together, since unity was to the advantage of certain central powers. A fear psychosis once engendered remained present, and there were forces in Egypt which kept alive this fear psychosis in order to maintain the unified purpose of Egypt. The artificial construction and maintenance of fear in a population by a ruling class has remained pervasive from the time of ancient Egypt up until the modern day. Oppressive governments often maintain their grip on a nation by continually invoking fear, and then proceeding to claim that only they, the ruling powers, have the means and ability to protect the population from such a threat. The whole aim of practical politics, wrote H.L. Mencken, is to keep the populace alarmed and hence clamorous to be led to safety by menacing it with an endless series of hobgoblins, most of them imaginary. John Adams, one of the founding fathers of America, echoed this sentiment, writing, "Fear is the foundation of most governments." While there are numerous tactics and strategies that have developed over the centuries to effectively exploit the public through fear, two of the more powerful and efficient are the use of false flags and the implementation of propaganda via repetition. A false flag can be defined as a covert operation, designed to deceive in such a way that the operations appear as though they are being carried out by entities, groups, or nations other than those who actually planned and executed them. In his book Feardom, Connor Boyack provides a nice explanation on the effectiveness of false flag attacks for those looking to institute social control. Physical attacks lead to a corresponding increase of trust in political leaders and submission to them. This effect is likely the same whether the attack be a surprise, known to political leaders yet allowed to happen, or directly orchestrated by these same leaders who stand to benefit from the increased trust and submission. False flag operations are used because people generally do not have access to the details, so they are prone to rely upon what they're told and thus are easily deceived. People will, for the most part, believe what they are told in times of crisis, and so government officials, whether their motives are good or evil, capitalize on or completely fabricate the crises. Repetition is also a well-known and prevalent propaganda technique used to solidify falsehoods and perpetuate fear in the public consciousness. By repeating specific phrases and warnings, and displaying particular symbols and images over and over through various mediums, those in power are able to paralyze entire populations with a fear psychosis. The Nazi propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels was well aware of the power of repetition in cloaking falsehoods in a garb of truth, stating, "It would not be impossible to prove with sufficient repetition and a psychological understanding of the people concerned that a square is in fact a circle. They are mere words, and words can be molded until they clothe ideas in disguise." George Orwell, in a related manner, viewed political language as largely a form of propaganda designed to deceive people, as he wrote, "Political language is designed to make lies sound truthful and murder respectable, and to give an appearance of solidity to pure wind." The technological advances of the last century have given those in power the ability to propagate their narratives and engage in fear-mongering to an extent never before seen in history. However, despite the unnerving situation we find ourselves in, there is an antidote to the power of propaganda and fear-mongering, that being knowledge. Plato rightly stated that ignorance is the root of misfortune. And as long as we remain ignorant of the fact that all too often, those who claim to protect us from fear are actually manipulating our fears for their own benefit, then we will be contributing to the misfortune of the world through our ignorant compliance. The philosopher Voltaire stated that those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities. To avoid being an individual who can be convinced of absurdities, one must become an active truth seeker, instead of the all-too-common passive propaganda receiver. An important step in becoming an active truth seeker is the realization that when evaluating the claims of those in power, skepticism is warranted and even necessary. Very often those who rule do not have the best interests of the public at heart, for as Alexander Solzhenitsyn put it, "Political genius lies in extracting success even from the people's ruin." The reality is that most of us are not in a position to single-handedly change the world, but we can at least try to rid ourselves of the unnecessary fears which are the fuel for so much hate and destruction in the world. In fact, taking responsibility for one's actions and the beliefs that motivate such actions may be the most important thing one can do when faced with the prospect of an oppressive government. For as Stanley Milgram noted, the disappearance of a sense of responsibility is the most far-reaching consequence of submission to authority. And furthermore, might there be truth to the comment by F.A. Harper that the man who knows what freedom means will find a way to be free? At this point, some may be thinking that while the use of fear by those in power certainly contributed to horrible situations in the past, most notably in the totalitarian states of Russia, Germany, and China in the 20th century, Western nations of the present are far from approaching a situation so dire. Hopefully this is true, but it is important to realize that those who have lived through the rise of oppressive governments have seldom realized the perilous situation they were in until it was too late. We will conclude this lecture with a fascinating but ominous passage from the book They Thought They Were Free, which is based on interviews with normal Germans who lived during the Nazi regime. The following quote comes from one of the Germans interviewed, where he discusses why he thought that more ordinary Germans didn't take a stand against the rise of the Nazi government. "One doesn't see exactly where or how to move. Believe me, this is true. Each act, each occasion is worse than the last, but only a little worse. You wait for one great shocking occasion, thinking that others, when such a shock comes, will join with you in resisting somehow. But the one great shocking occasion when tens or hundreds or thousands will join with you never comes. That's the difficulty. If the last and worst act of the whole regime had come immediately after the first and smallest, thousands, yes, millions, would have been sufficiently shocked. But of course this isn't the way it happens. In between comes all the hundreds of little steps, some of them imperceptible, each of them preparing you not to be shocked by the next. And one day too late your principles, if you were ever sensible of them, all rush in upon you. The burden of self-deception has grown too heavy, and some minor incident collapses it all at once, and you see that everything has changed. Now you live in a world of hate and fear, and the people who hate and fear do not even know it themselves. When everyone is transformed, no one is transformed."
Yeah, this is the cutting edge. Man talking about fear in all its forms. And as I usually say, inspiration without information lead to superstition. So superstition is all about lack of knowledge. Because if you didn't know the facts about what you say you claim you fear, you would move that fear. And you hear the man talk about governments put fear in you, but also the church. The church is the biggest fear factor in the minds of the people. So when somebody can get for make you believe, say there's a little invisible man outside of you, and watch your every move, and know everything what you do before you do it. And when a man a murder somebody, him watch you murder somebody without nothing. That is the fear factor with them putting away. That there's someone out there that is watching all the way you do, whether bad or good. But can he do something about it? With all we are going, it's all about fear, guilt trip. Put you on a guilt trip, fear. And we have to recognize that. Because where there's fear, love can't exist. Where fear, the love can't be there. Fear and love is not compatible. So when a man tell you, say, must fear God and live. Fear God and live, and if you don't fear him, you're going to die. That is fear. The greatest fear is fear itself. The greatest fear, because most of the time when you fear, it don't have nothing to do with nothing more than your mind turn round the other way, crisscross. Only power find yourself in that situation. Fear. You have some people sit down at the most by themselves and fear. And it's not fear them, I fear to somebody I go come rob them or do something to them, you know. It's just it's thinking that there's something. And the something is their mind. The something is their mind. Some people have company at all time. Because them a walk and them feel that something I go get them. May I tell you, fear. Fear manipulate and control the world, man. And that is how the power stay powerful. The powerful stay powerful because of this thing called fear. This is the cutting edge with you know, so we are going through the paces with the education, edutainment, mixing in the music, you know, not the normal music where you hear on radio every day. But we choose to do it because we know, say, it's all about opening up your mind. It's opening up your mind to other kind of music. And then say you don't hear that every day on radio. But that is what we have to do. So we talk about inspiration and how the more you are informed, is the more you are inspired. People with the most information is most inspired. And that is really what it is all about. People who reluctantly choose to not get themselves knowledgeable. It's them you find in the whole heap of superstitious behavior. As them hear something drop on them, most like them feel something. And the thing ringing at them head to make them get fearful. You know, sometimes you see a man walk on the road and through him look, you start to develop a certain fear. Which you don't know what is that man intention, but you choose to put an intention in your head and feel that the man knows a threat to your safety. It's all about fear. Let me tell you that the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. I don't know about that. So much things them tell me that when I start to think now for myself, critically thinking, I start to question this long time talk, them give it. I whole heap of the long time talking them, we only accept them because we were young and the people them was saying us much older than we. So we just say, well, boy, they must know more than we. And not no go so. Not no go so. And when we look on how them use a book them use to control the Western world, a book. Can you imagine that? With them write it. No hands of God, no write nothing. Joke business them a talk about. Instead them on the television I get rich. Half of the people them sufferation. And them God stand up and watch them and do that and do nothing. Nothing about it. See all them preacher where they on the television we buy how much plane and how much this and how much Rolls Royce and Bentley and living how much this and that and that. And the people them get the money from. And the people them so like sheep. I don't know, so the shepherd have fatten up the sheep to get him killed. It's a joke business. The shepherd have fattened the sheep, forget it. Murdered. That is what the shepherd do. And we are like sheep following the so-called shepherd to the temple of slaughter. Because little more them tell you about them going watching the blood of the lamb. Oh my gosh, man. Black people, wake up. One of those, it's madness. It's a delusion. It's a madness that them have we now. Yes, I want to play another African woman here. This is a big woman, much bigger than the little girl that we just played a while ago. As a matter of fact, we get 3 calls. We get 3 calls about it on my phone now, about a little girl there. Yes, she's very inspiring. So, we want, I hear some things I don't eat this engineer backside. I want somebody to eat that hide. Yes. Anyway, we want to play her because I think them things have to play up on radio every minute, every second of the day. Trust me.
I would like to tell you a few personal stories about.
You know the thing about them something I thought is like them have it's like clips. It's long, just like a tune you listen to. It's just like a tune you listen to, you know. But sometimes it's even much better to play them than to play a tune, which we used to all the while. You know, that is why, you know, we kind of stir the program that we had there, because, you know, sometimes we play the long 1 hour lecture them, but these little 2 minutes and 3 minutes and 6 minute clip can be very effective when it talk about motivation. So here we go.
I would like to tell you a few personal stories about what I like to call the danger of the single story. I thought about this when I left Nigeria to go to university in the United States. I was 19. My American roommate was shocked by me. She asked where I had learned to speak English so well and was confused when I said that Nigeria happened to have English as its official language. She asked if she could listen to what she called my tribal music and was consequently very disappointed when I produced my tape of Mariah Carey. So after I had spent some years in the US as an African, I began to understand my roommate's response to me. If I had not grown up in Nigeria, and if all I knew about Africa were from popular images, I too would think that Africa was a place of beautiful landscapes, beautiful animals, and incomprehensible people fighting senseless wars, dying of poverty and AIDS, unable to speak for themselves. and waiting to be saved by a kind white foreigner. So that is how to create a single story. Show a people as one thing, as only one thing, over and over again, and that is what they become. I recently spoke at a university where a student told me that it was such a shame that Nigerian men were physical abusers like the father character in my novel. I told him that I had just read a novel called American Psycho. And that it was such a shame that young Americans were serial murderers. It would never have occurred to me to think that just because I had read a novel in which a character was a serial killer, that he was somehow representative of all Americans. And now this is not because I'm a better person than that student, but because of America's cultural and economic power, I had many stories of America. I had read Tyler, Updike, and Steinbeck, and Gateskill. I did not have a single story of America. I've always felt that it is impossible to engage properly with a place or a person without engaging with all of the stories of that place and that person. The consequence of the single story is this: it robs people of dignity. It makes our recognition of our equal humanity difficult. It emphasizes how we are different rather than how we are similar. Stories matter. Many stories matter. Stories have been used to dispossess and to malign, but stories can also be used to empower and to humanize. Stories can break the dignity of the people, but stories can also repair that broken dignity.
Yes, and goes a serious evaluation of systems and things. May I tell you, man, may I tell you, the single story, when you tell people one story and you keep repeating that story over and over, and you start paint and make art off of that same story, and you put it in a book, that same story, and them don't expose to nothing else but that one story. Them start to believe the story, internalize the story, and the story become their narrative. The story become their narrative because there's nothing else. The only reason why you know bad is because you know good. The only reason why you know good is because you know bad, because there's something that you have to oppose. Everything good, nothing is good. And if everything bad, nothing is bad. In order to know good, you have to know bad. In order to know bad, you have to know good. You have to have something to weigh the opposites, to decide or use what we call now definitions and situations to make you believe these things. So good is only good because people say good is good. Bad is only bad because people say is bad. But if everything was bad, there would be no bad. Because how you going to know say it bad if there's no good to balance it? It's a simple narrative that. And we buy into all of the story them and use their logics to define ourselves continuously. Look how much things we create. Look how much things we motivate. And yet still we still a ball. Because we don't have the fruit of those labor. We don't have the fruit. We can't recognize ourselves because we don't know ourselves. So how you going to recognize yourself if you don't know yourself? Because you're buying to something else. You're buying to an image and a way and an understanding of self that is not of you. Not of your kind neither. Strange, man. Really, really weird. Really, really weird. But guess what? The awakening is happening. The awakening is happening. We have no doubt about that. The awakening is happening. All we have to do is continue just like them. Just because one thing never did happen, them never go to another thing. Them keep propaganda, them keep doing it. If it never work in audio, then put it in video. They never work in video, then put it in script. If they never work it in script, then beat it till you. Put it for them television. Put it all over the movies. And you internalize it. Internalize it. To the point where you start to debate it like it's your way and your knowledge that you are debate with, but it's not your knowledge. One time I look at a university youth and say, Bridget, you see the clothes where you wear, and you want to wear, you say, Muta, what you talk about? And me take my money and go buy it. Where you talk about you want, I know. I'm telling her sister, don't have to say, the ear and of your own, because she have receipt. She say, my ear, me have receipt for it. My ear, me have receipt for it. And the heights of brainwashing, where man make you feel, say, the narrative where you are walk with is your narrative. And when man say the powerful people will never educate powerless people in what it means to take the power away from them. Because the aim of powerful people is to stay powerful by any means necessary. That is the aim of powerful people, to stay powerful by any means necessary. You think it's joke, but we can't recognize that because we so full of, I don't know what I say it for the radio. I don't know what I say it for the radio. We're full light. That is what we do, we're full light. That's why we can say. With all of the madness and strife, we love the life, yeah. What you talk about? With, what them I deal with Baba and Day? We love this life. With everything we are going, we love the life. All right, hush. Hush. Believe you me, I never been to do that. Alright, sir. We are working inside that, so we don't make you bother with, you know. We have to start over the song. I could have deal. Thanks for stay with me till them time. I know it's a little more. From 2 o'clock to 5:45 will be the stepping razor, the art of war. Yeah, we give thanks, you know, we give thanks. New operator again. I don't know her name, I never see her yet. The first I see her, may I tell you, Vita, how you know, man? Who are you, love Vita? Matrix in the house. Matrix, how the lady name outside there? You know, I don't know. Matrix, I don't know. And the first me see her. I don't know. Madam, you have to come back here and come tell me your name, you know. Do. Come back and the first Matrix, everybody know your name, you know. You don't know. She frightened me a while ago. Because you never know, are the first to see her too? No, I come in and I never see her the desk. I pass. And when I turn around now, you see her? I wish for her today. I walk her back at the desk. Try to move mystically out there.